Hello and good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Hello. How are you doing?
Very well. You know, you have become such a major part of this story. It's one of those things when we hear of the book coming out, it's like, well, Robert is going to be the reader. He's going to be the narrator. He's going to bring the acting ability. And you've just become such a major part of this.
Well, it's primarily a literary event, and I hitch a ride. I mean, Louise has written these brilliant series, and this is the 18th of her 3 Times Inspector Gamache series, which is an astonishing body of work, and she's still firmly at the top of her game. It is quite an extraordinary achievement. So yes, here I am reading, I think, my 8th of the series, and it's a privilege, obviously, to be thrown them, but I absolutely love doing them too.
One of the things that I love about listening to these books is the fact that it feels like you're sitting right there in the front seat of the car with me, and you're really bringing the mental images to life inside my imagination. You really are a ticket to ride, to go for that long distance ride.
Well, that's the aim, and I'm delighted that you feel that, because the aim is to draw people in and to welcome them in, not to pin them back with vocal gymnastics. It's just to be the guide between Louise Penny and the listener, much in the same way to engage the imagination in the same way that a reader from the print version would be doing. So in that sense, the reader mustn't sort of get in the way of the author and the audience, but actually just to it's a performance and just draw them in.
Do you feel that you're one of the characters in the story in the way that because the way you use your inflection, your pitch, your volume, your tone, it's almost like you're a major part of that story?
Well, I don't feel I'm attached to any of the characters. I feel I'm attached to every character I'm reading, in the sense that I think it's important for the performer never to judge the character they're playing. It's to judge them on their own lights. And so to see how they regard themselves, rather than how I, the reader, the narrator, is judging them. So I don't put any agenda on the way I read them. The only agenda I put on them is how they feel about themselves. So I think it's important not to take sides, as it were, right, in any of the characters. All the characters have equal weight and equal equally valid.
To be a fly on the wall in your studio, because I mean, to see you on television on that flat screen is one thing, because I can read the emotion on your face and your body language. But to listen to you share the emotion and the suspense, I mean, your body has got to be going through the same kind of, when you bring things forward, you're using your hands and your entire body.
Well, that's true. I mean, the same is true. I work a lot with a cartoonist, and he puts faces on when he's drawing a particular character, not dissimilarly when I'm reading a character. Yes, I do. I think I do it instinctively. I don't tap it on, but it helps with the character. It helps where the voice comes from. It comes from deep, or it comes from high, or it comes from up in the different sort of parts of you and the face. And so, yes, I suspect I do contort a bit. I'm glad the camera isn't on me the whole time, though.
Is Louise Penny on the other end? Because when I go and do commercials or I do voiceover work, there's always somebody in my headset that say, "No, I need you to read it like this. No, I'm not feeling it here. We need you to go this angle." Is there somebody in your headphones at all times?
Yes. Well, I have the greatest privilege of, and I want to call out and shout out for Lorelei King. Lorelei King is an Audie Award-winning narrator in her own right. She's an actor, and she's the most brilliant director. And so it is a collaboration with Lorelei King, all our readings, and I suspect the success that the audiobook series has had is down to Lorelei King and the collaboration that we have. She is a superb director, and so yes, we discuss not only some sense and also some nuances, but she will sort of steer in the best and most effective way that one can imagine. So yes, the voice in my head is Lorelei in the booth next door, and she manages the whole process in a way which is creative, in the sense of we try and create what has already been created, interpret what's already been created, and it is a performance rather than just a solid plodding read. We hope to get under the skin of the characters, and certainly she's very much part of that process.
One of the exercises that I've learned in vocal training is the fact that, you ask the question, who is he, who is she, how old are they, how many children do they have? Do you break it down to that point as well?
Yes, I do, and obviously what I try and take most of my information, I try to take off the page. You can also fill in sometimes with if some of the minor characters aren't fully described, then yes, it is important to see them and to imagine them. So yes, no, I see the books in color, I have to say, when I'm reading them, and so I think that is a crucial part of it, is to engage my imagination, but primarily the sources of what I find in the characters is on the page. But yes, there is an element of my own imagination at work too.
It's so refreshing to hear your passion for this, because an outsider looking in would look at us thinking that we're kind of strange at the way that we use our vocal cords, because we don't see people, but in reality, yes, we do. There is somebody on the opposite end of that microphone.
Absolutely. Well, you understand this better than anyone, and it is a very visual medium because I don't know how. Yes, I think it does help for the listener to the listener will be engaging their imagination, and they will be inspired. So their imagination will be seeing what is being described, and I think it does help if I'm not just looking at text. I'm looking at events and color and heat and all those everything, all the texture that Louise has written. If I can imagine it and sense it and be prickled by it, then that I hope would come across.
Does she share her vision forward in the way she sits down with you and says, Robert, the next book is going to be this, this, and this, just as a way of planting seeds for you to mentally prepare for it?
No, I get a gift every year, and the gift is the big text. That is what she said, what I'm sent. And I tell you, it's a gift. It used to flop through my letterbox. It now drops onto my email. So I regard it as a gift. And so we don't discuss it. We discuss things after. I got to know, at the end of Glass Houses, one of the books I read of hers, she came into the studio. She happened to be in London. And she came into the studio the day I finished, and I sat down and did a 3/4 of an hour interview with her about all my questions. And so that's when I got to understand her process from her first hand. And we have met subsequently, and I enjoy talking to her about them. But no, she doesn't brief me as to what the book is about or what it involves. She just lets me get on with it, because that's what the audience are doing, the readers of her print version are doing, and I'm just another one, but I happen to be reading it out loud.
I can't imagine what you go through mentally, spiritually, as well as protecting your voice by sitting down with one of these books from Miss Penny in the way that it's like you've got to be able to become that entire story. In a role on television, you play a role, but you're not the entire story. When you do something like this, you are the entire voice.
That's what's so satisfying about doing audiobooks, really, is that you're responsible for presenting all the characters, pacing it, and yes, so to some extent embodying it in vocally anyway. So yes, I love having the complete overview of the entire story. Whereas, of course, yes, on film, you're responsible for one little lily pad on the pond, and you're the frog that occupies that, and everybody else is with you. But no, I love that aspect of taking a whole story, all the characters, working on all the characters, trying to make them plausible, trying to make them different enough to grabbing the essence of them, and landing that with the audience.
How important is the pause? The pause to me is that one place where you've got the attention of that listener, and it's like, okay, what am I going to deliver next?
I think phrasing is crucial, of course, and I think the phrasing is an underrated aspect of performance. Everybody talks about timing, but I think how to chew a sentence, how to enter a paragraph without apparently well, we all, as I have just done, and illustrate, we start a sentence without knowing how that sentence is going to end. So you achieve moments of light bulbs within any sentence, any long speech, where you decide where to go next. Not that you were aware. Actually, I'm just stringing it out deliberately so that you can see how a sentence can meander. And so, yes, it is the pauses, the phrasing, how to chew, how to land irony, and how to find that color in the language is a crucial part of drawing people along and engaging their minds and making it not sound like a reading, but sound like someone speaking.
Do listeners and readers reach out to you and compliment you in ways that really just, because it's a journey when you step inside the pages of a book and you share it the way that you do. Do they reach out to you?
I don't court criticism in the sense that you just sort of, I don't sort of send it out and say, hey, what do you think? Mm-hmm. It's very important, I think, as an actor, not to ask people what they actually think of something, because you might get the truth. It's, there's been all sorts of sort of awards for and nominations and audiophile earphones awards. Recently, we got one of those for this book, actually, which is absolutely so exciting. And the Audi nominations that have come in and all that. And so I hear that they are going well. I don't trawl the critics' pages for them. Mm-hmm. But the fact that Macmillan Audio come back and ask me to read the next one is approbation enough, I think.
You've become such a part of Three Pines, and when you step into that world, do you learn anything personally from the way that Miss Penny is always bringing things forward? I mean, these characters are alive in you. What is hanging on to you that it's like, oh my God, I didn't think that would be affected by that, but I was?
I think there's something extremely refreshing about this series because people at the moment are finding it difficult watching the news. They find that the news is leading you to a belief that humanity is in a bit of a bad state, and you sometimes wonder if goodness exists. And through the violence of the series, what Gamache faces, what he encounters, what happens to him, and everything like that. What's the astonishing and enjoyable and bolstering aspect of these books, I believe, is that one comes out believing that actually in the power of goodness. And I think, oddly enough, at this time when people are questioning whether goodness exists, I think these books have a role in making one believe in the power of good. And that isn't soppy, that isn't sentimental. I think there is an emotional core to these books, and a belief in humanity in all, and I think that is bolstering. I think it's encouraging, and I think it's of assistance in when we're feeling a little bit shaky about the what's going on in life.
I'm still shocked at the number of people who have not ever jumped onto the listening to a book kind of a journey, and the reason why is because and listeners need to understand how easy it is to add this book to their smartphone, and and then I hook it up to my car, and it's like 1, 2, 3, and I mean they make it so simple. Are you part of that process of making it easier and easier for the readers becoming the listeners?
I think that my smartphone will now, everybody has different systems, but my smartphone will now download the audiobooks onto it. It used to be that I had to go to a desktop, and it was a bit of a more convoluted process. And with different credits that one can have on these various platforms, it is a very simple process to have a list of books. You might not have them. You might have one a month, and you might find yourself for 2 months and you haven't downloaded one. Hey, you've got 3. You've got 3 books you can, and you've got a long journey. You've got 10 hours to Los Angeles, and you've got something to do, and you've got a long car journey, a long train journey, a long walk if necessary. Although I suspect on a walk, actually, you want to be listening to the birds and the bees and the and all that. But no, but of course you can listen to an audiobook in any circumstance, and I think they are. And once one's involved, once you're hooked, once you're in it, you're off. and time flies by.
Robert, I could talk to you all day. I love listening to your stories. You bring truth to listeners' ears, and then when we get to hear it in the book, we understand the person that's sharing the story, that there is a passion behind you.
Well, there is, and thank you very much for saying that. And it's all about engaging with the audience, and drawing the audience to the writing.
Excellent. Well, please come back to this show anytime in the future, Robert. The door is always going to be open for you.
Thank you, Aaron. It's lovely to talk to you again. Thank you.
You be brilliant today, okay, sir?
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. It's really good to talk to you.